Alright, so I'll start by saying that this is I'll start by saying that this is like a favorable uh, matchup to PL, in general, in this game, I'd say.
Yeah.
The Kunkka's a big problem. Kunkka's actually, when you can get away with picking a Kunkka, one of the biggest counters to PL, just because, the big crits, you just indiscriminately taking away like all your fucking HP.
Yeah, that ended up being the real problem by the end. I could kill most of the others. But Kunkka would just X himself and kill all my illusions and shit.
Yeah, so you pretty much have to take over the game before that happens against Kunkka, but even then it's pretty difficult. I mean, you can dodge his like boat combo and such, but it's a really hard matchup against a competent Kunkka. The rest of them, Lifestealer used to be like a go-to counter to PL because you could just AFK farm a Radiance, but now in the dual lane meta, it's pretty difficult for Lifestealer to have that kind of space. So
yeah, their Lifestealer wasn't very good either, so
right.
He basically had nothing all game.
CM, you just kill her. If she gets the root on you, then that's why you get a Manta. TA, burn all her refraction, burn all her mana, so she can't use it again. Drow, you can run at her. That's why I like getting Shadow Blade on PL a lot of the times, because you really just want to be able to be more survivable. I mean, Shadow Blade isn't like survivability, but on PL you can purge off dust if they dust you, and it's really more for getting around the map without getting seen, like under wards. So if somebody's pushing a lane, you can just Shadow Blade and just run at them.
Yeah, I think I'm still in the mindset of the old PL, because that's the one I've played the most still, like before the rework. Where you just go to Fuse or Manta and let your illusions kill everything.
Yeah, I mean, you can still kind of take that approach, but PL is much more main hero focused these days. Like his illusions don't really do that much damage, and
yeah.
Like Diffusal Blade is pretty good on him, sure, but it's not the same as it used to be. Like just with all the illusions that lasted forever and whatnot.
Fair enough.
Plus the changes to Diffusal Blade kind of hurt PL, just because, well, the changes to Diffusal hurt everybody.
Yeah, you can't purge off silences or dusts or whatever.
Right. So before we go further, what exactly did you want me to look at? More so like the laning stage, or like it seemed like
the laning stage went okay for me. The rest of the team, we lost every other lane, but for me, I won my lane and I got pretty good farm. It was mostly like decision making later on, I think. Like I know I did the wrong skill grid in lane because I went the max lance when I didn't need to. But
right,
and this that, is I think laning went alright.
Yeah, this is like a one. I would only go like 1 point in Spirit Lance here just to secure last hits, because like, against these heroes, they don't really want you to just hit them. Like Lifestealer, if he is trading, really wants to be trading with a high HP strength hero, but you're a pretty, moderate HP agi hero with a lot of armor. Well, you gain it rapidly.
Yeah. And the lane was also a lot easier than it looks because Kunkka left at like level 3, so it was mostly just me versus Lifestealer.
Right. So the max Phantom Rush really would have been beneficial because you just rush him off cooldown. In this lane, that's what I would have done it to this Lifestealer, and he can't lifesteal up enough to just make it worth his while. If you're like Phantom Rushing him off cooldown.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll say is, and it's probably not even your fault, but and you probably already know, but right now the meta is just dual lanes. So
Yeah.
having this tri lane up here isn't beneficial. Just because you know why that is already?
Yeah, they just take too much XP, especially if they don't get any kills. Which they got a few kills, but not enough to make up for it. So I ended up being underleveled for a bit.
That's part of the reason, yeah. But also, you'll recall back in the old days of PL, back then if you denied a creep, it would still give 70% XP. So now that it only gives 25 XP, and it gives 25 XP to you, if you deny every creep against somebody, then you're getting 5 times the amount of experience they are.
Yeah.
Which is a huge disparity. So to combat that, and with the nerfs to these bounty runes, the pro players finally figured out that you have to contest the CS. You just have to. So what'll happen is, like in my games and in games above me, you'll just have like a melee hero and a ranged hero with a nuke, and you'll just both, like, each side will just be contesting every single last hit. Like each side will go for every single deny, and they'll go for every single last hit. And going for kills just isn't that good because, especially if you're splitting the experience, like, if you go for a kill, then that's like 2 creeps. That's like 3 creeps.
Yeah, I think I missed quite a bit of creeps early on just because we got a few kills. And I was focusing on them more.
Right. So you definitely have to focus on denies. Like, I mean, I haven't watched your game yet, but you probably just don't deny enough.
Probably.
And
it really depends on the hero. Some heroes I'm pretty good at denying on, getting all the last hits and denies, but I haven't played PL in a very long time. Or at least not often.
Right, and it's actually kind of difficult on PL just because, you see the number 62 right here, but if you really look closely at it, it's actually 51 to 73, which is a 22 damage spread. So really, it's going to be hard to get some of these denies with that 51 damage. If you
I never realized it was so big, the difference.
Yeah, I mean, you
It's
probably...
nearly CK levels.
That's true. Like, that's, this hero is definitely, harder than it seems just because of that. And you'll just miss random CS or miss random denies. And, sometimes it'll be your fault, but if you become really good at CSing, just sometimes this role just fucks you. Especially in the tower. So that's something to think about on PL, and that's something to think about like on a lot of different carries, or really anybody. You just want to try to get into the habit. If you don't know the damage spread, just look at it and try to treat your damage as what the low number, because if you treat it as the high number, then sometimes you'll miss CS by 20 damage.
Yeah, that's something that I've never really looked at, unless I'm playing CK, because it's very obvious with him.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty obvious with CK, but there are some heroes where you just wouldn't expect it to be that big. I think maybe Troll is one of them as well. I don't know. I don't know all the damage spreads either. There's just so many fucking heroes. You can't know everything about Dota.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. I just want to look at this for a second. If it'll even show me on here. Alright, never mind. It's lagging too hard. Alright, so it's fine that you guys got first blood, and again, I don't fault you for this. Your supports just decided to sit 2 top and try to do some kind of kill lane with a Bane bounty hunter. But the problem here is, and it started right when the creeps first met, is, and this goes into denying as well. You just like your lane equilibrium is it just went to shit right here.
Yeah, and I don't believe either of them pulled it all either in the lane. Which
Yeah, but it's you can, it's really up to you to make sure it doesn't happen in the first place. Like, it's one
Yeah.
red in, 2 range creeps. You know, when you guys got the first blood, it turned into 3. And at this point, it's still fixable, but it's not ideal. So this is really where it started, but I want to show you like, exactly where it went wrong. Alright, this is where the creeps first met. And getting these early denies is so important that it's 100% worth it in these first couple waves to miss a CS so that you can get a deny. Because the XP and like having a level on the enemy laners just means so much right now.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to come back from that. As well as people are picking like more heroes like Wind Ranger and CM, where one more level can be the difference between, well, that's just true of any hero, but one more level on those heroes just makes an enormous difference.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think was it the torrent? Oh, no. See, I have the favorable creep equilibrium here. I don't remember what happened.
Yeah, it's fine here. Let's see what happens.
I think it was Bane and Bounty Hunter tanking the creeps. They were auto attacking.
Yeah, they did tank the creeps a bit. Alright, much more than necessary, but it's still fixable. See,
Yeah,
you know
because there are 2 range creeps on the other side.
Yeah, there's 2 range creeps on the other side, but also, do you know how you can get these range creeps to die?
Yeah, you can drag the creeps back.
Right, so you gotta do that. You have to do that. If there's 2 range creeps. It doesn't matter if there's 2 range creeps on the other side that much. To a Phantom Lancer, who's got Stout Shield, 5 armor, and 4 health regen. 4.5 practically. Doesn't really matter, like, if this pushes into your tower, you have to tank this a little bit. Got the Stout Shield, the armor, and the regen to do it. But you really don't want this to snowball like it did. Ideally, you never want to go for a kill if you're in this kind of stable lane. And this is, at this point, like kind of an outdated idea, just because in the dual lane meta, both sides are going to be pushing the creeps in because they're going to be using their nukes on the creep wave in the side lanes. to secure like ranged CS and harass. Like people just don't really care about pushing the wave in or out anymore. But in this type of situation, when you're in a tri lane and you've got a huge advantage, like it'll even apply in a dual lane where if they just pick a dual lane that can't do anything to you, then the creep equilibrium will still be important. So you want to have it. This is actually like a little bit too far back for my taste, just because these creeps will meet first. They'll be a little bit faster than these creeps meeting, and you'll see what I mean when I resume it. But you really want it to be over here, and another reason for that is you want to have that easy access to the side shop.
Yeah.
Like you want to just, you know, get the CS, step for half a second, get your item, and then go right back to the creeps. And on PL, it's a little bit less of an issue because you do have the Phantom Rush that you can use in a pinch. But on these early levels, you don't want to. You want this to be toggled so you don't accidentally use it.
Oh yeah.
Mostly for getting back to the creep wave, not necessarily for going on them. But, you know, sometimes you want to go on them. Most of the time when I'm using Phantom Rush in lane, it'll either be because I've got a favorable matchup and my creep equilibrium is in a good spot, so I'll just run at them, or it'll be just so I don't have to be like right next to the creeps. I can time my Phantom Rush to rush in and get the last hit without using my Spirit Lance.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I think you get the point, if not
Yeah.
the idea.
I do try to focus on creep equilibrium. Like when I'm solo, I don't really have a problem with it, but when I have to also try and bring the creeps back due to my supports, like tanking creeps or whatever, that's when it gets more difficult for me.
Yeah, and you pretty much have to give yourself some leeway. Like, yeah, you definitely have to give yourself some leeway because these guys, they're not going to be thinking about like creep aggro and how they can harass without taking aggro, or you know, whatever. They're not going to be thinking about that too much. So you have to give yourself like a cushion, because even like 15 seconds ago it was still fixable, but now it's not.
Yeah.
So if you go for this kill, then it just suddenly becomes unfixable forever. And I mean, there's no way around it. This is going into their tower, and they're probably going to get all these range creeps.
Yeah.
You never want the solution to the equilibrium to be your supports pulling. That should be the last resort. But most of the time, I mean, that's not even really true in this meta, but it'll probably be, you'll be able to apply it to your own games just because you probably have more tri-lanes.
Yeah, a lot of people at my level are still stuck in the idea that tri-lanes are good.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do about it. Sometimes you'll have to use an outdated idea that was good. And it'll still be good situationally, but that's just not like how it gets played higher up. Which is okay. There's many different Dotas, you know.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'll just speed it up a bit since you pretty much know what you did wrong here.
Yep.
If I see anything glaring, I'll just let you know. Yeah, I'll try not to overload you with like mechanical laning stuff, because if you try to focus on too many things at once, it'll just become overwhelming.
Yeah, fair enough.
Alright, so something I definitely want to mention, and I don't want to rewind because I'll be able to explain it without a visual aid. So
Yep.
you just pretty much used courier way too late. It finally got out to you at around like the 6 minute and 20 second mark. I know your Storm Spirit was like recrowing it from you, and that's fine. But you really want to use that courier as fast as possible. And I'm not saying like use it pre 3 minutes, but by the time the 3 minute mark is rolling around, uh, you want to be sending yourself out something. Either some more regen, or some more like mangoes, or some pieces of your Aquila, or you know, standard for me playing PL is like at around the 3 minute mark, like a Wraith Band plus Tangos.
Yeah.
If not, maybe a Raindrop plus some Tangos.
I think that's one thing about my skill level. Not to play down what you just said, but people at my level are constantly using the courier. I don't know why, but like I don't see it in high levels, but like it's very hard to actually use the courier at my
Right.
level because there are people constantly using it to ferry out useless things and stuff like that.
Right, and that's always a problem. It just gets a little bit better, the higher you go. But pretty much what you have to do is you just have to buy the items, have them in your stash, like have them in your quick buy, so you're not forgetting to buy those items. And then when the courier is at base, just put your items on the courier, and if somebody else uses it, so be it. Don't let it go back to base without you getting your item.
Yeah, that's what happened with the Aquila, I think. I think I put it on the courier when it was going towards Bane, but then Storm took it before I realized, and it got like halfway back to base before I realized that my Aquila was still on it.
Right. Yeah, so something you'll definitely have to work on is just courier usage and like courier awareness. You should just, it's just part of checking the minimap. I'm not sure how often you're checking the minimap right now, but it should always pretty much be in the corner of your eye. And while you're checking the minimap, not only do you want to have a glance, like snapshot of where everything that's showing on the map and everything that's like not showing on the map, but you also want to know where your courier is at the time. And that's like,
Yep.
it can be a lot until you get used to it, but you just have to try.
Yeah, something I heard like a long time ago was it was a suggestion to when you're playing carry at least check minimap between every last hit. but I often forget to do that, so...
Yeah. I mean, you can do something like that. You can check it after every last hit. You can, do whatever works for you. Some people even go as far as like having a metronome playing in their browser in the background, and every time it ticks or whatever the hell, you just check the mini map. At this point, I just sort of subconsciously do it. Like I'll see something flash on the mini map for a microsecond, and it just barely registers, but I see it anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you like the metronome idea. You could try that, or you could try doing it for every last hit. I don't know if audio or visual learner is like a real thing or not, but maybe that could help.
Yeah, I'll try it.
So where were we? Yeah, so just make sure that the courier, just try to know where it is and know where it's going. You don't necessarily even have to look and find this little courier icon on the minimap. You could just look here and it'll show which hero it's going to. And when it's on its way back, just, even if somebody reuses it immediately after it's going home from somebody, just make sure that it doesn't leave base without your items.
Yep, keep that in mind.
Yeah, so if you were maxing this Phantom Rush, the lane would have looked a lot different, and if you were ferrying out this like Wraith Band and more regen faster, you would have been able to play much more aggressively on this Lifestealer, and he just wouldn't have been able to lane because he's got two fucking armor. He can't compete with once you're level 6, you'll have 3 points in this, and you'll have 22 bonus agility every time you run at him. You can't compete with getting hit for over 100 attack.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's something you'll have to keep in mind when you're playing PL, and you'll have to sort of experiment with how many levels of Spirit Lance is correct. And it's like I said on Discord earlier, it's I mean, the simplistic way I wrote it was like 0 in a free farm lane, which is never going to happen in this patch. A free farm lane, it's just your support zoning them from level 1, and it's just you versus a creep. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you always get 1 point, and you usually get it at level 1. Sometimes you'll have to get Doppelganger at level 1, just if you mess up and you have to get out, or like playing against a Doom, I like to level it, or anything where you really need to have that purge right away, that dispel.
Yeah.
I'll get it at level 1. But 2 is pretty good because it's a 50%. It does 50 more damage up from 100, so it's only 5 more mana. It's pretty nice, but it doesn't scale that well after that. The movement slow is okay, but you can't rely on just the Phantom Lance slow just to try to get kills in lane. Plus, you don't even really want to commit and try to get these kills.
Yep.
Plus, after the laning stage, you'll just feel like once you start maxing Phantom Rush and you start using it to farm, if you go one more point in Spirit Lance than you needed to, it'll just feel really bad to you once you're used to this other build.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, pretty much on all heroes, with some notable exceptions, you have a skill that helps you lane, and you'll have a skill that gives you some kind of utility, and you'll have some kind of steroid, at least on carries. So this is your laning, this is your utility, and this is your steroid.
Mm-hmm.
This will help you farm faster, it'll help you, I mean, this doubles as utility because with a 4-second cooldown, you know, sometimes if somebody blinks away immediately, sometimes you're running for like 2-3 seconds, and I don't know, it provides a lot of utility if you use it correctly.
Yep. I think I'm just still used to the old PL.
Right, and definitely something you should consider doing whenever you whenever you're picking up a hero you haven't played in a while, you're picking up a new hero, just open the watch tab and just watch somebody play it, like a couple games, and try to figure out why they're doing what they're doing. Sometimes it'll be hard. It's probably the hardest thing in Dota is looking at, like, there's so many times you can just look at Dota and you just don't see something. I'm sure you can relate to this kind of sentiment. Which, you know, basically, if you don't know to look for it, you'll just never see it.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, just watch a couple times, and it helps if it's a hero that you used to play a lot, like PL for instance, and you watch somebody play him and they're maxing Phantom Rush, and you just for a good baseline, just compare it to what you would normally do, and if they do something different, then there's probably a good reason for it.
Yep.
So you can either try to figure out what that reason is, or you could ask somebody else, like what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Asking somebody else is usually much faster because you figuring out Dota is, you know, it takes millions of people to do it.
If you're going the max Phantom Rush build, I'm assuming you stay with level 1 of Spirit Lance until you max Doppel as well? Or do you max Spirit Lance before Doppel?
You definitely max Doppel second because this the cooldown is really good.
Mm.
The cooldown reduction, like, you get the full benefit out of the first point, sure, but being able to cast it twice, you know, 3 times, even 4 times in a fight, it just, every single time you doppelganger, they don't know which one is the real one anymore. If they knew which one it was in the first place. So
yeah, whereas this game I went max Spirit Lance, then max Phantom Rush. And I think I died once or twice because I only had 1 level in Doppel.
Yeah, the cooldown on this is so short, at 4 seconds long, that you'll never miss a kill unless it was like a snipe kill steal and you're low health and you don't want to run in. But typically you will never miss a kill for having Spirit Lance at a lower level than 4.
Alright.
And I wanted to say something else about Spirit Lance. Right, yeah, just max doppel.
Yep.
Second, and definitely would. I mean, sometimes if you're just farming, you'll want to take this. You never take the evasion, because the 20 attack speed is just so to value.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not really looking to fight in the next, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, right at level 10, which is pretty unlikely right now, then getting the 20 attack speed at 10 is good. But the 5-second cooldown reduction on Doppelganger, it'll save your life at least once a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, imagine
Yeah,
if you had max
if I had
Phantom
another,
Rush there.
yeah, I would have killed him.
If you had one more point there, you would have killed him. But if you had full points, he would have died like right here.
Mm. I'm gonna hear it for a second if that's alright.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, I'm back.
Okay. So I think it's probably just time to move on from the laning stage. I mean, we've been at it for like almost 40 minutes, and we haven't. It's only 11 minutes in the real game.
There's not much more of the laning phase anyway, as well.
Right. So, I won't pause. I'll just have it follow your hero, and then if you have a question, just stop me.
Yep.
But
What I was going to ask about this, should I have just ferried regen out to myself rather than running back at that point?
The first thing you gotta do is check if there's any shrines available.
Yeah, the shrine wasn't up.
This shrine was.
Oh, the bottom shrine was. Yeah, the bottom shrine.
Right, so I believe that at the beginning of this coaching session, you said that you mostly wanted help with post-laning stage rotations.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So this would be... It's fine that you're up here this whole time, because your PL, you kind of want to have your item before you start fighting. But you can fight before you have your item just fine most of the time, especially with max Phantom Rush. If you have one stun, then with max Phantom Rush, they usually die.
Yeah.
So, pretty much post laning stage, where you want to be on the map as the carry is you want to be in the place where your easiest next objective is going to be.
Yep.
So, in pretty much every game, just due to the geometry of the map, if you're Dire, then this is the easiest tower to take. So what that'll mean, or what that means is, and I'll get to why it's the easiest tower to take in a minute. But what that'll mean for you as a carry is you don't want to rotate down here too early, and you don't want to rotate down here if you're going from a bad matchup here into an even worse matchup here or something like that. And you also want your people down here to be ready to go when you make that rotation.
Yeah.
And it'll be different every game when you want to make this, when you want to leave this lane to go down here. But basically you want to have like a basic semblance of items and levels, and you want these guys to have the capability to go. You can time it with 10-minute catapult some games. Sometimes it would even be correct to leave at 5 minutes to secure these bounty runes. It's kind of a difficult concept though, and people are going to flame you for it this low, for leaving your lane. But you know, if you're doing the right
People are
thing,
going to flame you for anything, so...
yeah, right, that's true. I don't know, I think I was going a little bit too conceptual here, but basically you want to leave if you're getting forced out of your lane and you just can't lane here anymore. And as time goes on, the matchup is just going to get worse and worse. That's when you want to leave. And also, if they're diving this tower, sometimes you can punish it. And that's just...
Yeah, there was a... I think there was a... I'm not sure if it was after now or before now, but there was a fight bot where they dove tier 1, or maybe it was... the tier 1 was already gone. And I thought about TPing there, but I didn't end up doing it, and we ended up losing the fight. And I'm not entirely sure how much difference I could have made, but they only had treads and I decided against rotating, when rotating probably could have won the fight.
Right.
Just because I thought I'll miss out on farm.
Yeah, but the thing about that is, and this is something, and I guess I'll get to why this is the easiest tower for you to take as the Dire team. It's because the distance between this and this is very far. But if you look at this over here, this is like half the distance. And the distance between these two towers is like half the distance. So right here they've got 3 places to TP, so they don't have to stack TPs and each one is a second longer. So they can all come, like one person can TP here and one person can TP here, and then all of a sudden they've got 3 top. But if they try to do that same thing down here, you know, it's much more difficult. You pretty much have to TP to the tower because this is so far away. So if you're diving down here on somebody, then they're probably screwed. Plus this is kind of like a death trap. You have to cut 2 very specific trees, and if you're out of tangos, then it's going to take you 6 seconds to get out of here, unless you have some kind of mobility spell. That's usually enough time for them to hunt you down and kill you.
Yeah.
That's why this is the easiest tower to take, because you can come at it from multiple different angles. You can be on high ground the whole time. You don't have to walk up any high ground. If you want to wrap on this tower, you'll notice if it's during the daytime, you'll have to go through tower vision. If it's at nighttime, you can sneak by, but if you want to be undetected, you have to actually go up a high ground as well to
Yeah.
wrap on this tower. And they've got so many ways to respond. And I'm not saying it's going to be incorrect to take this tower first. Sometimes it is correct, just because they're not punishing it. But pretty much when you go for this tower, just because of how heavily fortified it is by the geometry of the map around it, you know, you just get it when you can. Pretty much. If you can get it, then get it. Otherwise, these two towers are easier to get than this tower. Most of the time, this tower is even easier to get to than this tower. The mid
So
tier
for
too.
example, if you're playing Lycan and going like trying to get the Helm of the Dominator before 6 minutes, would you be trying to rotate bot as soon as you get the Helm of the Dominator, rather than staying top and trying to get that tower?
You could. It depends though. Like sometimes you don't even get the catapult. Sometimes you get like a stun creep, or a net, or clap, and you just take your ulti and you run down mid and just kill him under the tower with your creep.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes even as Lycan you won't be able to push this tower. You know, it just depends. You just have to try to figure out if they can stop you or not.
Or if they will stop you.
If they will stop you,
stamina.
or if they can stop you.
Yeah.
If the dual lane up here is something like, I don't know, an Underlord plus a Wind Ranger or something like that, then are you going to get this tower even as a Lycan? Probably not.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So it's going to be different every game, and right. So this is all going back to where this shrine was available. I kind of went off on a pretty long tangent, but this shrine was available, and it was fine for you to just go to this shrine and then come down to these creeps and hit these creeps and take the tower. You weren't
Especially
getting...
since the other team all rotated top.
Yeah, definitely. You could, and you don't even have to TP down there per se. Well, the optimal way was when you were low and going to base, use this shrine and then come. You don't even have to get there immediately. You can do all these camps first, and then take the creeps. And then if you're scared of hitting the tower, you can back off to these camps. But definitely try not to go back to base, and the order of objectives right now is pretty set in stone, unless it's just super convenient to get an objective. Like the objectives that you force you always want the objectives that you force to be the easiest possible objective on the map to take, because if they're able to respond to that force, then the fight is going to go much better if you're in a position where it's easier to take the objective, because they won't be able to rotate in people down here. But up here, they've got the 3 places, you know.
Yep.
Plus, it's also much more difficult for your team to rotate to assist you in taking this tower, because the distance, well, you know, it's the same. It's pretty much mirrored. If you look over here, you know, you've got the 3 points over here as well. You've got high ground. You've got, you have to go up the high ground if you want to wrap on the tower. You've got that down here too. You know, it's pretty much mirrored in that regard, and the order of objectives for each team, it'll be the same, but it'll be reversed. You know, besides for Roshan, which is heavily Radiant favored right now, just because this is the area of the map that's easiest to control as Radiant, because you've got these 3. you've got these high grounds and whatever, and you can wrap on this tower super easy and get map control in their jungle super easy. And that also happens to be the same general area that Roshan's in.
Yeah.
So if you want to control Roshan on Dire, then you have to be in this position of the map that's really easy for Radiant to take control of. Which is why pro teams lately have been saying that Radiant is a much better side to be on. It's just because of this. Roshan is on the side that you want to control.
Mm-hmm.
So generally speaking, you'll take this tower, you'll get a bit of map control, and getting this tower will enable you to get this tower, because all of a sudden you've got this new pathway of going through the jungle, which is pretty unlikely. It's unlikely that it'll be warded. So you can have one person pushing the wave, and then you can have a couple people wrap around like this, and this kind of play will result in a kill and some major tower damage most of the time, unless they're ready to respond. And once you take this tower and this tower, then you can start thinking about taking this one, because the only way to defend this one is either to just run this way or run this way, and you can have this warded as Dire, and you can have this warded as Dire if they want to TP here and pincer you. So it's very easy to control this area of the map with wards and take this tower because of that. It's also like the terrain is unfavorable for defense. Even there's a high ground here, and it's super far away. The line for the tower range is like this, so there's plenty of leeway for the enemy to just go in behind the tower and not get hit by it. And it's, again, right here, if you're hiding in these trees as Radiant, then it's really hard to get out.
Yeah.
Do you have any more questions?
Not right now.
Okay, I think I've given you a lot to think about, maybe too much. One of the problems with my coaching is I don't know, I feel like I say too much about too much. Sometimes.
No, it was alright.
I mean, it'll give you a lot to think about if you want to go back and watch this video back, once it's stopped being fresh, or you can ask me to look at another replay with you.
Yeah.
And I like to take notes so I can remember who I coached and what I talked about. Alright, so in your own words, what did we cover?
We covered creep equilibrium in a laning stage, particularly when you have other people affecting the creep equilibrium.
Alright, go on.
Then you discussed the skill build of Rush versus Lance, as well as career usage, map awareness. Then you spoke about objectives and going bot to the bot shrine rather than back to base, so I could then farm bot and push bot.
Okay. Alright. Well, it'll be up on YouTube. I'll link my YouTube page, and I've got a Discord server that you can join. It's got all the people I coach on there, and for some reason they're all either from England or Australia.
That's interesting.
Now it seems like I'm just collecting all the British people and all the people who've gotten colonized by them. So I'll link all that
To be
stuff
fair,
here.
you can consider all Americans to have been colonized as well.
That's true, but we're the new empire in town,
Oh yeah.
I guess. I'm not happy about it. All right, well I'll send you that stuff,
Yep.
and feel free to ask me to do another one of these.
Yeah.